Welcome to the Raw Doggers Sportscast Live. I am Sean Watson, as with me. Checking out the new soundboard. Love it. With me, as always, is Ryan Kessler.
What's up?
What's going on, dog?
Chilling out on a Saturday. KFC to roll up.
Yep. Just waiting for, and the Cavs went ahead and took game one.
Sir.
Already. So taking it out on those baby dinosaurs right away. What are you drinking?
Coke.
Just Coke? Yeah. Too early in the afternoon for that?
Yeah, no rum. Well, we don't have the Rite Aid anymore, so.
No, that's true.
Across town to ruin my life.
Well, they got a new one that's coming up. If you don't want to buy like cheap ass shit that's going to give you a headache. They have a new one that's going to be uptown a little bit. It's where the old Pizza Hut was. They're next to McCune Cycle World.
Really?
Yeah. They're opening a whole new liquor store there and everything. It's going to be like a high end kind of deal.
Sheets is going in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It definitely looks like Sheet. Not a little dad humor there. Speaking of which, so anyway. Had a pretty busy Saturday, a couple soccer games in there. Also had this come across. Had somebody from work, one of her followers, went ahead and gave me this clipping. And I told her, Jen Weichel, thank you, Jen. Wanted to tell you this. I laminated it right away. But this is awesome. So this is actually the back of it. Of the clipping. I should have just thrown it out there but this is the 12 Days of Christmas. And I believe this was put out. Did you say you did look this up? Is it by the Plain Dealer that put this out?
It didn't have a section or anything on the thing, but that's what it said is most likely from the Plain Dealer.
Right. So first day of Christmas. Yeah. Art Modell.
Cockcroft. Sipe.
Yeah. Brian Sipe, love it. Fifth Day Pruitt, awesome. Newsom, awesome. Cardiac Kids. So then on the back of it, there's a clipping on the back of it. It actually had division standings. So I told her, I said, don't tell me because there's no dates on here. But if you look at it, obviously with the 12 Days of Christmas, and then you flip it over, and then there was only 15 game seasons. So that kind of helped narrow it down a little bit. Of course, along with, I was looking at some of those too.
Yeah.
Like Jaworski was in there as some of the passing leaders. I saw his name.
Sipe's up there. I think this is the year he won MVP, so it had to be 80.
Yeah. So without using Google, though, I was trying to figure out, kind of pinpoint it. So we're pretty sure that this was in December. Obviously, it was in December, but it also says last game of the season, and all the NFL teams had already played 15 games. But even more importantly than that, I believe that this was the Red Right 88 season, leading into the 81 Super Bowl, which we believe was Dick Vermeil and the Eagles against John Madden and the Raiders ended up winning. So it could have been us. I mean, once again, could have been the Browns in that Super Bowl.
It had to be, what was it, like -40 wind chill?
Yeah, it was something like that. At Old Municipal Stadium, which I've told you before, I've been to games of that stadium, and it was also one of those stadiums where it still had like the dirt in it from Major League Baseball. Yeah. It was partially into the season for football, and the layout was not good. I mean, we didn't know about these new age stadiums at the time, but like if you got a ticket and you could be behind like a support beam and like looking around it for most of the game, especially when it came to like football games.
Right.
You had the Marlboro Man like in the outfield, just blazing. Loved it. Just nobody cared.
Oh, people I'm sure definitely ripping heaters in that stadium.
Yeah, people taking in like coolers full of,
Dad
fun,
said they used to,
fun juice.
Yeah, Dad said they used to fill up fucking milk cartons or milk jugs, 2-liter milk jugs full of beer.
Nice.
Out of the tap.
That's so great.
I mean, just we don't live in a free country anymore. I mean, you imagine how much money I could have saved all these years going up to those games, just bringing in my own beer.
Right.
Probably ended up in the hospital at some point, or jail.
Another story of mine. My first Browns game that I went to, I was 12, and it was on a bus, and it was with my uncle and his company at the time, and there was some kamikazes floating around. There may or may not have been a soft flask that went around the back of my uncle that went into that stadium, but I do remember that there was kamikazes being floated around. Obviously, there was probably some other things that were being partaken, although it wasn't in April. It wasn't the 20th of April, 420. And but it was Browns Jets. I do remember that. But yeah, I was behind one of those pillars. I mean, not too far away of the pillars I was speaking of. But I started going to baseball games back in like the mid 80s there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not old enough to see the stadium, but I remember I went to the 1999 opening of the new stadium. I remember going to the Giants game that year.
Okay.
I think Phil Dawson's the only one that scored any points that day.
I was actually at the Steelers. I kind of lucked into those tickets. Actually, the pharmacist at the time. I was.
Didn't we beat him in Pittsburgh that year?
I can't remember, but I know how cold it was, and he was a PSL holder, and the pharmacist at my store, he actually had season tickets, and I ended up getting, I think it was a Sunday night game, or it was definitely a night game. It was against the Steelers, but we were on the third deck or the top deck, and it was cold and shit, man. I mean, and we were on the lake side too. Like, we were on that side of the stadium. I remember that, but how fucking cold it was.
Well, our seats were awesome because we didn't have to worry about the wind at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
You probably went up. How many times did you go up with us? Like 5 or 6?
Yeah, I think so. Like 5 or 6 in that. And then I went to some games too where there's another guy and his son. They both had season tickets. And one of them had him at the Dawg Pound end, and the other one had him at the south end. And I ended up buying a few tickets. Actually, Wade, I went with him in 2014. He and I bought tickets off of that guy, and we went up, and that was the Johnny Manziel year.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hoyer. We went to watch the Raiders game.
They won that game, right?
I think so. I can't even remember that at this point. I mean, that's like 12 years ago.
I mean, before I got season tickets in 18. Before that, I remember going. So Dad always took us up to like preseason games. So it was whatever. It was nice to go up there. It was always hot balls.
Sure.
I think I went in 2008 or 9 because I remember Derek Anderson. We were playing the Ravens. We were up by 2 touchdowns, and of course they let them come back and win. And that's the day I seen someone elbow drop a Ravens fan in the pit. Like, if you're walking across that bridge and you have to turn over to get in the pit, this dude jumped from the top of that elbow drop this Ravens dickhead that was talking shit the whole way.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have that on video.
Right. Well,
it's probably out there somewhere. Somebody probably has that. They probably have the footage of it.
It was 2009, so not even a lot of people had smartphones yet.
Right. Well, that's true.
Maybe a flip phone video. It looked like shit. But
it probably did. So
make it funnier, actually.
And I've told this before too. I mean, I was at the last game that the Browns had it at Municipal, So I was 18 at the time. Yeah, I told you about that. Still
You
looking.
take pictures of that?
No, well, what happened was I've went over this before. So the one guy that I graduated with, huge Cincinnati Bengals fan. We started going as soon as he could drive. His mom would let him drive to like away games. Drove in Carolina. He drove to a Carolina away game at the Bengals when he was 16. My mom would have never let me do that. And I had
be allowed to drive to Cleveland if I was under 18.
right, but I mean he was 16. He had a Geo Tracker, and yeah, he used to drive that thing. I remember he went to the Colts. I mean, he went to, which isn't nearly as far as going to Carolina for a game.
Oh, it's a 3-hour drive. I think.
But the guy,
basically
yeah,
like going to Cincinnati, honestly.
right. But yeah, so at the beginning of that season, after he got his season tickets, before Modell even made the announcement and how all that stuff went down, he hit a few of us up in high school and said, "Hey, I got these season tickets." He's like, "Is there anybody that wants to go with me?" And I said, "Hey, I'll take that Browns game." So it ended up being in December, and it wasn't too long after that Modell made the announcement. And I really had no levity as to how big that was going to be until I went to that game. Now, mind you, once again, I was only 18.
Right.
And to go through the parking lot and the amount of shit that I saw when I was 18 years old. I mean, the Modell Scarecrows, the Muck Vodell t-shirts, all that.
Right.
So, and there's a little bit of YouTube footage from that game. I've tried to, it's really, really grainy, of course.
I watched it wasn't that long ago. There was a pretty good ESPN spot on it.
Okay. I should look at that and see if I can find myself. But they were good tickets too. Like these weren't, I don't know how the hell he afforded these tickets. I mean, he was 16. I think his mom and dad or something. I don't know how.
It was the 90s. Things.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, they were like 50-yard line, but I think they were like 30. And they were right. I mean, it was like right there. We were first row.
Right.
We were like field level first row of that game. And I remember going down here, and I think like I believe it was Reggie Langhorne. He like jumped up there in our section. I was able to like pat him on the shoulder pads and stuff. I remember doing that. I mean, we had really great seats.
Yeah,
so
didn't they start that season out like 3-0, and then all that kind of news like pretty much took the wind out of the sails?
Well, why wouldn't it?
Right.
I mean, why wouldn't it? Because I mean,
a year after that they went 11-5, so they were kind of building at that point.
Well, and nobody knew at the time. I mean, they thought we were losing the Browns forever.
Right.
Like the Browns were relocating to Baltimore. Okay, well, there was nothing about an expansion franchise that was going to bring the Browns back.
Say this: the Steelers Nation was kind of big help to Cleveland keep its name and stuff like that. Like there was a kind of a unity at that point. Browns fans, a lot of Steelers fans, because I mean that's all the same area.
How dare you speak of this? A unity between the Steelers and God.
I mean, I hate them more than any other team, even Baltimore. So it is what it is. History is history.
I mean, that's a good. Well, let me ask you this: would you go out on a limb if somehow the Steelers were going to move out of Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Would you? I mean,
you hate them because, I mean, that makes the rivalry good.
It does make. Yeah, I agree.
And especially if they would like move to fucking wherever, North Dakota, and became the douchebags or something like that.
Well, they've already kind of cemented their title for that. I mean, no question. Yeah. Do y'all remember the Browns fans fighting each other a few years ago? One was wearing an OBJ jersey, and I can't remember the other guy.
I don't know. I was probably there for it.
Right. It was probably, yeah.
Well, and I will say this, I was kind of respected the Bills Mafia and all that stuff. There's some fucking assholes. Like rooting for the Bills at all costs type deal after being up there for a couple of those games. And we beat them both times.
Right.
Ram was up up there with me in that game.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
Group of 4 or 5 dudes.
Outside the stadium, or?
No, they're sitting right behind us.
Oh, geez.
Talking shit the whole game, and then they lost the game by, it was like a bad snap or something like that at the end, so we got the last laugh. Fuck those guys.
I just didn't know if they were halfway concussed, jumping off GMC Safaris onto their folding tables. I didn't know if one of them might have went at you with a half a folding table.
If they could brought it in the stadium, they probably would
have. Fair. All right. I just want to get into that. I just want to give a shout out to Jen from work and bringing that clipping to me. I'm probably going to get that framed at some point. And then once I actually find that, I'll probably get that in a frame and get it up on the wall. Get it up on the wall for the pod. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm thinking like, maybe even right here.
Yeah.
Maybe get some of those. But all right, I want to get into this Rossini Vrabel update. So last night, this has been ongoing since we talked about it last time. And Rossini went ahead and resigned from the Athletic.
Almost immediately, yeah.
Yeah, no big surprise. Also, the headline from Florio, just want to bring this up. Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel, quote unquote, coordinated on how to respond to the New York Post report. So I would hope so. I mean, we can text each other nowadays. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for the investigative reporting. Which actually, I guess it was actually put out. I guess the ESPN reporter, Ben Strauss, went ahead and talked about this a little bit, or had a report about this. Rossini's old company that she worked for before going to the Athletic and essentially the New York Times. So that she went ahead and put out some information, actually Strauss went ahead and reported some information about that. It says Strauss reports that Rossini coordinated with Vrabel about how to respond to the initial story from the New York Post. New York Post, obviously competing newspaper with the New York Times and the Athletic, about the two of them together at the adults-only resort in Sedona, Arizona on April 7th. And then she went ahead and Strauss reported that Rossini, per Strauss, argued to her employers that the photos amounted to a, quote, sexist attack on a female reporter in a male-dominated field.
Always.
Unquote. Now, what's your thoughts about this? I mean, because Vrabel, and I'm a big Vrabel. I mean, I like Vrabel anyway. I wish he probably would have been our head coach. But with that being said, do you think that the heat's all coming down to Rossini here? Or do you think it's that Vrabel deserves some reprimand about this? It is the Patriots organization. What are they really going to do? They just reached the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts about it?
When stuff like this comes up, I mean, I think, the newspaper has to act a certain way because they don't want to show that they have bias towards any teams, any players, any, management personnel or whatever that they're covering. So I get they probably made her resign,
right.
Get you your severance and all that bullshit. When it comes to the Patriots, does it really matter? Do you think the players give a shit? Do you think the management, ownership really care? They probably don't like that it's been made public. So, you want to slap them on the wrist and give them a game suspension or something like that, maybe. I just think if it's not like violent off the field or, like harassment or something like that, like, okay, they're two married people that made it obviously a mistake, but he's going to have more to worry about at home, I would think, than he's going to have to worry about for the Patriots.
No chance, though, that Bob Kraft and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, or the NFL Commission for that matter, says to the Patriots or goes to the Patriots and said, hey, Vrabel needs to get a suspension for this. Rossini had to resign from her job, or she chose to resign.
Right.
I mean, is Vrabel just getting out of this altogether?
Very good. Very good.
Love it.
I think they're gonna have to do something with that. Like I said, maybe a game suspension or fine. Are they gonna fine him for this?
Who cares, right?
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what the NFL decides, if anything.
I mean, it's degenerate, but does the NFL really give a shit about that? As long as it's not like, like a police case.
Yeah.
Did they do anything to Robert Kraft?
No.
Rub and tug. So it's like,
well, and
you're not dealing with the players union or anything like that. So I think they'll probably talk to Kraft, like, look, you got to do something here. Whatever that ends up being. I don't see it being any more than maybe a half or a game or maybe even the preseason game or something stupid. You know what I mean? I just don't see this being that big of a deal as it comes to Vrabel's availability or anything like that.
Now, I think the biggest question, though, in my mind, and what a lot of people are bringing up about this is the fact that, was Rossini and Vrabel so tight together that she was getting inside information, and then even worse than that, giving inside information.
That would be if there's an investigation, I think the NFL might want to look into that.
Right.
I don't think it has anything to do with any extracurricular activities. But
well, remember, though, she was also the beat reporter with the Titans. A.J. Brown went to the Eagles. Now, even in this free agent season, there's been a lot of talk about A.J. Brown possibly coming back to the Patriots. Diana Rossini's husband, big Philadelphia Eagles fan, from what I understand. But was there a conflict of interest? I guess what I should say.
Definitely could be. That angle there could be. I could see something coming down, but they're going to have to prove that.
Right. And is the NFL really going to come out and say it, even if they do find something?
Yeah. Well, and is the NFL really going to look that hard into it? Do they really want to make this I think Braves kind of has some standing in the league at this point.
Yeah.
Do they really want to make this into a big ordeal? You know what I mean?
Well, I agree, and I don't think the NFL wants to do that just because it is the NFL. It's the Shield, and
yeah, because it's like, is ESPN going to really look that hard into this? No.
Well, this Ben Strauss, she is a former employee of ESPN, right, so ESPN wasn't even really saying anything about it.
But she's not going to have the ability to subpoena any records or anything like that. Text messages. That they're really going to get their hands on what they get their hands on. I wouldn't think it's going to be a lot.
Well, and Ben Strauss, I guess, went ahead in this article from Florio, went ahead and said that the Athletic tried to get her to give up text messages. And according to him, via her, she wasn't doing it.
No, and she probably, unless it's a company phone, even then, like, I don't know. You'd have to look at her contract and the different policies that they have there. They could get their hands on it, but I don't know. If it's a personal phone, good luck.
And I don't know if they could force her, like you said, if it's not a company phone,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, well, it's not like nothing here happened that a judge is going to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Is this the last we see of Rossini, though? Is she damaged goods going forward? Is she going to join Jameel Hill? And just because Hill's been a big advocate of this, imagine that. Right. A big advocate of Rossini.
Right. Well, of course.
Imagine that.
Yeah, the degens stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll go quiet for a while. She'll land on her feet somewhere, whether that's being a beat reporter somewhere else or something like that. Like, she'll be fine. Or
she goes to the Atlantic. Maybe her and Jameel Hill will have a podcast together.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll learn a lot of things about sports.
Yeah, we'll maybe we'll just do like some kind of op-ed.
Who's what's her name on ESPN that You said beaten cover 4 is the throat deep. I can't remember her name.
Who is it?
Absolutely crashed out on her. That Chinese chick on ESPN.
Oh, Mina Kimes?
Mina Kimes, yeah. Maybe they'll do a podcast and give us all their football knowledge that we definitely need.
Right. That's because Mina Kimes is just huge on herself. If you haven't went over and saw her over on TikTok, you need to go check her account out.
Right.
Just out there glazing the fact that she has an Emmy sitting on her dusty shelf with all her books she's never read.
Right. Well, and you asked if Frank asked if she was damaged goods. She might be damaged goods after Vrabel was done with her.
I was actually listening to another podcast, and they compared Rossini from Snooki from Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
It's like the degenerate, just meatball problems Jersey girl. Fantastic. Big advocate of those guys, too. If you get a chance, I'm going to go ahead and give them a plug. But the Dirty Sports Podcast, go check those guys out. Those guys are fantastic. Been on their wagon for a lot of years.
Yep. Talked about them a lot. Would really love to get that Miller Lite.
Yeah, that Miller Lite sponsorship. We can start small. If anybody has any microbrews that you want us to go ahead and sponsor, we're all about it. Send us your goods. Get some sponsorships. Hey, if it's 20%, we'll get through half a podcast.
Right.
All right, fair enough. The other thing I wanted to do is bring out, speaking of gambling, is bring up this new Ohio law about sports gambling. And apparently there's new things on the dock. Of course, a bunch of states went live with this back in 2023 on January 1st. You remember the whole thing with how Kozar, and I think it was Frank Minifield, wasn't that? They went ahead and then he got a suspension for that. So like January 1st, and then he decided to go ahead and put it out there on social media, and then he immediately got
I'm going to grab my food real quick.
Yeah, go. It's fine. Immediately got shit canned. But anyway, so the Ohio law, it's not a law yet. After opening up the sports gambling that's been legal now since January of 2023, the state legislature and the Republicans especially have decided that they're not getting enough of the pie. And if you can see this graph right here, and essentially this is what it comes down to, in my mind, is they're throwing the shit out there like they want to go ahead and start limiting some of the sports gambling. It's like letting Pandora out of the box, and then you're trying to get Pandora back in the box,
right?
Which is not going to happen. But what they want to do is there's a few different things. They want to go ahead and limit sports gambling, no prop bets, no college football. They want to limit it to $100 wagers. And they also want to make it so that there's no online gambling. And you basically can only place wagers at essentially brick and mortar sports books in the state of Ohio.
Right.
Now, in my mind, none of this has went through the House or Senate. It's just proposed legislation. And basically the proponents of it are saying, okay, there was over $1 billion in loss last year. And the state of Ohio only saw about a tenth of that, a little over a tenth of that. Now they're saying that we're trying to protect you because sports gambling leads to all these quote unquote unalivings. I might have to say unalivings.
Yeah.
Of themselves, of people unaliving themselves. That's for the TikTok listeners. But in my mind, always look for the money. Always look for the money when it comes for this. You guys, it seems like the state of Ohio always misses the boat. because here's what's going to happen. If this were to go through and it goes to a vote and it goes on the ballot, number one, it's going to crash and burn. I mean, every degenerate in the world is coming out and they're voting no. This is going down like a Scud missile. But you're going to try to make it so that you can't gamble on 15 different statewide online sports books, the state of Ohio? What do you have to go to Hollywood Casino in Columbus or Toledo, or you have to go to Northfield Park to go ahead and put a sports wager in? What do you think is going to happen?
A lot of people are going to be using some VPNs.
That, and or it's going to be like the marijuana situation in the state of Ohio. People are going across state lines. They're going to do what they need to do. And in my mind, if you go ahead and do this, you're not going to stop people from sports gambling. It's just going to go in the back alleys again. And then the state of Ohio, you're still not going to see any revenue from that.
Right. Yeah, you can't legislate your way out of people that are absolute degenerates that gamble away their mortgages.
Yeah.
Not going to be able to do that.
You can't, as a government, you can't protect the public from themselves.
Nope.
Nobody's talking about stopping the Ohio lottery.
Right, which you have a way less chance of winning than winning a bet.
Yeah. But think about that. So they're saying there's $1 billion in losses, and they're only seeing about a tenth. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 120 million, I should say, the state of Ohio is seeing. That's because the sports books were in other states. So what's your resolution? I have an idea, and I'm going to throw this across to you. Let's do this, state of Ohio. Let's get our online sports book and get a couple brick and mortars inside the state and then propose to them, listen, we're going to go ahead and give you some extra tax breaks. You pass that on to the degenerates that are gambling, and then we're going to back you with extra tax breaks for you as long as you give us more revenue on the back end. What do you think? And then you make it so the people in the state of Ohio want to gamble on that sports book versus like a DraftKings, a FanDuel, whatever.
So you're almost like lottery, like running it almost like the lottery. So it's kind of a revenue area for the state of Ohio.
Right.
Raul Havana said something about no worse than get the state wanting to give Jimmy $600 million for a new stadium. I mean, if you do stuff like this, like then you can kind of earmark some of that money to go towards renovation of Paul Brown Stadium, Jacobs Field, new stadiums, stuff like that. So yeah, I think we both don't think anything like in this article is going to get passed the way it's written.
No way.
But I do like that model because people are going to do this regardless.
Yeah.
And if you're too stupid to keep betting, if you're losing that much money, I mean, that's kind of on you. It's the beauty of personal freedom. I think there could be much better ways that we could do this to help fund some things in the state of Ohio that, you know, if you're going to be a degenerate, at least have some of that money go to fixing potholes or something.
Fix some potholes. And the other big thing is a lot of the public schools aren't seeing the funding from the state of Ohio that they were too. So
the state of Ohio is pretty damn corrupt anyway, and they don't really deserve more money. But if you're going to do anything like this, might as well try to set it up to where it can kind of help stop the bleeding in some of those areas, I guess.
Correct. Or can you go, if you're the state of Ohio, can you, and I'm sure they're not going to, but I guess there was over $1 trillion in losses across web-based sports books last year. Trillion with a T. Okay. Ohio was $1 billion
a year. I make 10 bets a year, and I probably lose all of it. which ends up being like a couple $100. Like, good Lord.
Right. But to get to that $1 trillion mark, I mean, yeah, but you're talking about what? Possibly 15 different sports books electronically, at least 15 in Ohio that you can get on.
Yeah, and you probably have 40 or 50 million bettors out there.
Right.
Some
you know,
more than others, but
and those people are betting a lot more than, like, let's say you or I am.
5, 10, maybe $20 bets every now and again.
$100 bets even. That's the other thing they were talking about.
Thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another thing. Part of this legislation they're talking about is limiting people to $100 bets only. Or $100 within a 24-hour period.
You could try to sell me on something like that, but even then, just make multiple bets.
But the ultimate goal of the state of Ohio, it's not the fact you can say you're trying to save people from themselves.
They're just trying to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, they're trying to just follow the money.
Yeah.
Just follow the money. I mean, so the state of Ohio needs to come up, and I texted you earlier, I'm like, our state legislation just sucks. They're so stupid.
Yeah.
Of all the people with all of the smarts, I should say, you can't find a better way to circumvent some of this stuff and get more of the pie?
Right.
I don't know. That's just my thought.
More of the pie, and like we said, like you're not going to get a net positive out of just taxing the shit out of people and stuff.
No.
I mean, you're just not, especially if you outlaw it here. You'll get a VPN. Degenerates are degenerates. You'll have bookies. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. And I just think that if this legislation were to pass, you're going to go to the betting in the underground betting again, and or, like you said, the VPNs, and or across state lines. And in none of those scenarios, it still doesn't help the state of Ohio get any more money.
Right.
So you have to come up with something better than this.
Right.
I still say, though, if you give some incentives to some Ohio-based sports books, that's the way to roll, and get your citizens to go ahead and bet on those platforms.
Keep that revenue in the state.
Yeah. 100%. All right. You want to get on to some latest mock draft talk?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So what do we have? First off, we're going to go ahead and stream. I know we talked about this. We're going to go ahead and stream the NFL draft that's coming up this coming Thursday. I think it's 8:00 is around the first pick. What are we going to start? Are we going to get on about 6:30, something like that? I don't know. We'll talk about some stuff.
If you guys want to join, just message us or join our Discord would be the best way.
Yeah.
And you can do that. All that information is in the link or in the description. The link for the to get into Discord's in there. So you can come on, talk for 15-20 minutes with us. We're going to have different mock drafts to go over, discuss what we want to see happen. Maybe we'll have some more news on some trades that might go through at that point. But just kind of have some fun with the pregame stuff. We want to get some of the fans, some of the listeners on the show, kind of expand some of the conversation around that. We're going to have a lot of good graphics. We're going to have a ticker, so there's going to be everything rolling, and we'll live stream the first round. And I do believe that I'm going to be live as well on Friday. I'm not sure if Sean's going to be available or not for that yet, but
I'm going to try to. Yeah,
we'll try to do the Thursday and Friday live stream, and that's going to be on all of our platforms. So it's going to be fun.
Sure. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, just like you said, and we're just going to open it up. I mean, on Discord, we're really trying to build up this Discord too. And the Discord, it's for you guys. We want to get a community of people with their thoughts about certain things. So go over to our Discord, like Ryan said, get in the comments.
Yeah, and that it'll be a great way to get some different topics, subjects that we can add to the show that
sure
we see that you guys are talking about. Kind of help us out on that front, and just when we do different things like our Super Bowl squares or the March Madness brackets, all that information will be there. Everybody can talk shit. Maybe we'll start a a fantasy league and things like that. So
yeah, that's a good idea.
That's where all that information is going to be.
Sure.
It's a good way to meet people. So
sure. All right, so we just want to throw out some of the kind of the quote unquote experts in their mock drafts. You want to start with Todd McShay? Yeah. Let's go ahead and so these are just some of the latest drafts. The 3.14 to the nearest decimal point, pi, whatever you want to say. So this is Todd McShay, his latest mock. First off, I want to say this. We talked about this possible trade with the Cowboys way back when, that this could definitely be a possibility. But we want to find out what you guys think about it too, in the details. So in this scenario here, the Browns are actually trading with the Cowboys. The Cowboys get the number 6. They're going to select Sonny Styles. And then what do we get? We move back to their position at 12. And then what do we get? Their number 92 and a 2027 second rounder?
Yep.
Yeah. And then look at the pick right after. Carnell Tate going at 7.
Yeah. So again, and we've talked about this. I'm only trading back if Carnell Tate's off the board at 6.
Okay.
Because if you look at this and we get 12, I think here is a reach for Caden Proctor at 12 myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna be mad if we end up with him, but I think if you're making this trade back to get a tackle at 12, and then you only have 24, you don't have that 20 pick from Dallas. You get down here to 24, and we're picking up Casey Concepcion, another guy that we've talked about that just seems to have hand issues, a lot of drops,
which Carnell Tate does not.
Right. And again, not small, but definitely not a big number 1 wide receiver. Just isn't what I think me and Sean are looking for. I think you got to come out of this draft with a bigger target, someone to put some size in that room. Carnell Tate, he's 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds. Like that's a prototypical number 1 wide receiver. And obviously, where was he? We'll look at it on the next one, but I definitely want to see us come out with Denzel Boston. Mm-hmm. He's 6'4", 212. There he is at 18. That's as high as I've seen him getting picked on any of these mocks.
Yeah.
But he's coming in at 6'3", basically 6'4", 210, 215. I mean, that's your number 1. That's the guy you put on the outside. And he wrote a big threat in the red zone, because even with how great Fannin was, I mean, he's still a smaller tight end, so it's not like he's your guy you can lob it up in the red zone scenarios.
Right.
So I really think you need to add that dimension to the offense, in my opinion. But yeah, so there's a lot of heat definitely starting around a Browns-Cowboys trade. I just think that they're gearing up to Carnell Tate not being on the board, in my opinion, at 6.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's there at 6. They're taking.
I agree.
That's what you need to do.
I agree, and I don't see that in this scenario with Carnell Tate dropping to the Jets there at 7. Right. Unless the Browns, for some reason, they feel Carnell Tate's not the guy. Now, all the experts are saying that it's Carnell Tate way up here, and the rest of these guys are quite a bit lower. It's like Carnell Tate's a 1A receiver, and then the rest of these guys are like 2A. There's like a big gap that's between these guys.
Right. And, there was some talk about the 40 time. 4.53, I'm not worried about that.
Mm-mm.
Just watch the guy run routes. I mean, he's got football speed, big, strong, physical, great hands, great route runner. That's, like we've said, how many of these Buckeye wide receivers have come out and been duds? None.
Right. I agree.
Some have overperformed. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I thought he was going to be good. Didn't think he was going to be one of the best wide receivers in the league.
And didn't think he was going to set the new wide receiver contract that just occurred.
Right.
For sure. But, I mean, look what he was on a record pace last season to break the all-time wide receiver yardage record. And he did it with Sam Darnold. And I'm not throwing any shade on Sam Darnold. But once, now Njigba, not a real big receiver either. Not a big guy. But remember, we play in the AFC North. Okay.
Well, and they have a solid core around him too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we have not been able to produce that or get that kind of production out of a smaller wide receiver in the AFC North. I mean, look back since we've been back. Braylon Edwards had that big year. He's a big wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Odell comes here. Really wasn't. I mean, he had the 1 year where he was over 1,000 yards, but not really that productive. And even Jarvis Landry. I mean, like, we love Jarvis, but his production came down when he got here. And that's kind of what if you're going to get a smaller wide receiver, like for the teams that we play, 6 times a year, I think you need some size on the outside.
Yeah. Agreed. So, and you said you're not moving off of that spot. In my mind, I'm not moving off that 6th spot. And I'll say this again on our other expert, which I like the next one much better than this. But I'm definitely not moving off, for a 92 and a 2027 second rounder. No, I want that 20. I want the Cowboys 12 and the 20. I want 3 first-round picks.
Yep.
Especially if I'm letting Carnell Tate go.
Right.
So that's just my opinion on it.
Well,
so,
yeah, I will be angry if Carnell Tate's on the board and they trade back.
Regardless of what you get?
Yeah, unless he has like some heart murmur no one knows about except Cleveland.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
So this is McShay's latest mock draft. What do we have? Kiper?
Yeah, Kiper.
Yeah, bring Kipers up. So I like you say what you want about Mel Kiper, and I've dogged the guy before myself, but I definitely like his mock here much better.
He also has Carnell Tate at 7 as well, but this trade makes a lot more sense. We're going to be getting 12 and 20.
Right.
We'll be giving up our 2nd round pick, but if you're going to have 3 picks in the 1st round, a lot more worth it. Because I don't think if somehow you're getting like a next year's 1st round, that next year's 1st round pick is going to be a lot more valuable, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback depth. But they trade up to get Sonny Styles. Obviously, Tate's still there, so I'd still be pissed. But at this point, you have 3 first-round picks. And he also thinks they're going to be wanting to get Caden Proctor at 12. I still think that's kind of a reach for him. I mean, he's so huge. I just have a worry of him staying healthy in the league.
Right.
Could be wrong. I mean, could be wrong on that. But I think, to me, you're looking at tackle 4 in the 20 range, 24 range.
And there's a lot of the Browns fans too that I've seen their comments on him. Like, well, wait a minute, he was over here at right tackle.
Right.
And but don't forget, he went over to left tackle too. There's only really a couple guys, Monroe Freeling, who were at that left tackle position. And if that's what you're going to draft for, then
that's who if we can get him somehow in this draft, I'll be very happy.
Right.
That's a guy to me that just reminds me of Joe Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
He's lighter on his feet, still very large, obviously, 34 and 3/4 inch arms. I mean, the dude is prototype left tackle. Obviously, he only has 18 starts at Georgia, but the tape I've seen, the dude looks like a monster.
Right.
Now in this draft, we get Denzel at 20.
Denzel Boston.
So if we can come out of this draft with Denzel Boston, it would still break my heart to not get Carnell Tate. But
go ahead.
I really like him. I just think he's going to be one of the more productive wide receivers out of this draft.
In a big wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we're not saying he's Carnell Tate because we already established that.
I think he comes out and it hits 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns as rookie season. unless he goes somewhere with the worst quarterback play imaginable, which could be Cleveland. But
right. But also in this mock, I think it's important to point out too that we get the 3 first-round picks here. You take Proctor, you take Denzel Boston, and then you take a Dermod McCoy out of Tennessee as a corner as your 24. I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with this. How about you?
Yeah.
Because in my now, Carnell Tate's gone, Mekhi Lemon's gone, Jordan Tyson's gone in this scenario.
At this point, at 24, and I think that it's okay. Omar Cooper's gone. That'd be you got to find, even if you trade back from 24. I just say at this point, I'm grabbing another wide receiver, whoever that might be. Who's the next one off the board? I don't think there is one for a while. But one thing I wanted to bring up: if they're going to make that trade, how likely is it that they like Ty Simpson enough to bring him in to give coach here a quarterback that he likes if he's not in love with Shador?
You're saying the Browns. So you're saying if you secured those 3 picks, you're going to go ahead and take
I'm not
Ty
saying
Simpson at 24? Well, I'm saying if you were in charge of the Browns.
It would if you're able to get your left tackle and a number 1 wide receiver, and you're not convinced with Shador Sanders, are you not taking that shot? Because what if next year, say you go 7-10 or 8-9, or maybe make a run and you sneak into the playoffs, you're not going to be drafting high enough next year to get one of these quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he sits behind Shador this year, because whatever. Because I think we both realize, I think hopefully everyone realizes that Dylan Gabriel isn't an NFL quarterback.
Correct.
And I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be back unless he comes in and absolutely just lights it up. Like he'll have to have like a Pro Bowl, All Pro level type season, I think, for them to extend him.
Yeah.
Like just going 9-8 and being a middling quarterback, I don't think he gets extended here.
Right. Well, and I think it's also important to point out that there's ties between Monk and Ty Simpson.
Yep.
But also, I heard earlier today there's also ties between Carson Beck and Todd Monken. Which Carson Beck, you'd be able to get him much later.
Yeah, and that would make sense to me. But with having 3 first-round draft picks, maybe all the wide receivers are off the board. You got your left tackle, and you don't really like any of the offensive linemen on the board. Now, I think we did talk about this defensive end.
Mesidor.
Yeah, where was he? He was like 2nd round, wasn't he?
He was going to the Patriots in this mock, I believe. Because right here, Akeem Mesidor.
Now, yeah, 24, maybe you upgrade that spot opposite Miles, and
correct.
I think there you're really cooking with gas with the defense.
Yeah.
But if you end up with 3 first-round picks this year, 2 of them better be for the offense, and I would lean 3. I would try to remake this wide receiver room as much as humanly possible.
Would this be – go ahead.
I was just going to say, because the only ones I really have any faith in is Isaiah Bond, and I don't think he's a number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. I think he'd be great in the slot role, or having the speed on the edge for certain packages. And if Tillman could stay healthy, when the guy's on the field, he definitely looks like he can be productive. I still don't think he's a number 1 or number 2 either. But
right.
If you have a guy like that can get into the rotation, I think he could be very productive. And if you throw up Denzel Boston to your number 1 and have Jerry Jeudy at 2, or if you can somehow come out of this draft with 2 high-level wide receivers that take those number 1 and 2 spots, having Jerry Jeudy work out of the slot, I think there's so many more options to be able to be dynamic and dangerous on offense. I think you absolutely in 2 years turn this offensive round, I think, if you're able to do that.
Right. And I asked you before this, you want to go ahead if the Browns do go with this scenario, you'd like to see your offensive lineman and 2 wide receivers in this round.
Yeah.
Where
they've put so much money in the offseason on the offensive line. The one spot they really didn't hit was tackle.
Right. And on the other hand, I think I'd rather see a wide receiver and 2 tackles. Possibly. Like if Proctor's there at 24, I don't have a problem maybe taking him at 24.
Yeah, 20 or 24. I don't have.
And then we also have the hometown kid Blake Miller from Strongsville that played at Clemson. Also, I also want to point this out. Spencer Fano, Spencer Fano, who has played a lot of games at Utah.
50-something? Or no, that's Kale.
Well, that was Kale Lomu, who's his teammate. But Fano, I think he went earlier than that in this particular mock.
Yeah, he's up. Blake Miller. I think he may even him in the top.
Didn't he go to Detroit in this one? No, right here to Baltimore. In my mind, Ryan, that's the guy I'm taking at 12.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I think.
Or Monroe Freeling. I mean, I know you like him.
I love Monroe Freeling, and you might have to get him at 12 if you're going to get him.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, to me, if you can get Carnell Tate at 6 and use that 24 to get your tackle, if you got to use your second round pick to trade up or whatever you got to do, go get the guy you like, whether that's Freeling, whether that's Proctor, Lomu, Fanu, whoever it is that they're in love with, go get that guy. Is solidify that left tackle spot. I think the right tackle, I'm still going to give Jones another year.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think they got a swing tackle this off season. They got some depth there. I don't think the offensive line is going to be perfect. I don't think the offensive line is going to be perfect if they end up coming out with 2 tackles. But I think that it'll be enough there to, not have the running back being hit 3 yards in the backfield every time he touches the ball. And that just expands everything you can do offensively.
How big a voice does Warhop have when they're going to select this offensive lineman? If they select this offensive lineman, how much is he in Todd Monken's ear? How much are they in Andrew Berry's ear to go ahead and make this pick?
I think Todd Monken's like, we need weapons.
Okay.
Because like I said, they've invested a lot in that offensive line. It's not going to be perfect, I don't think, but it should be better than it was last year. And you need weapons or you're not going to go anywhere with this.
Agreed.
But if you can come out of the first round with a top tier wide receiver and 2 tackles, I'm not going to be mad at that. But right. I really think if you can manage it, if you could get 2 top tier wide receivers and solidify one of the tackle spots, I think you'll be cooking with a little more grease.
I've also heard some other podcasts talk about this. I don't care. We're taking best player available at 6.
What?
They're saying we're taking best player available at 6 because they're saying that's going to be the game changer going forward.
So Sonny Styles?
Several years. Whether it be a Jeremiah Love, whether it be Sonny Styles, whether it be
even Caleb Downs.
Caleb Downs. That's a reach for a safety, right? I mean, if he's a generational talent, I mean, in this mock here, Caleb Downs is off the board.
Well, so if you're doing that, then you're picking tackle at 24. Then we're coming out of this class with like a Chris Bell or Concepcion if he drops down to the second round. That'll piss me off.
I'm really high on Chris Bell.
I've seen the tape. I know he's coming off an ACL.
Correct.
But how many times have we gotten guys like that? Like even with Tillman, like just dudes that kind of had a lot of hype that aren't high enough on the draft board to be picked in the first round. Go out there. You have to go out there and get a top tier wide receiver, dude. I just think that you can't get out of this draft without one. Because next year, what are the odds that we'll be picking a quarterback?
I'd say it's pretty good.
I'd say at least 60%.
Yeah.
We're hoping Shador shows that he's
we're hoping, 100% we're behind Shador.
But he's got to show it.
Right. And there's a good chance, just like you said, that we're going to be doing that. I don't know. And then
you have to wait another year to pick a wide receiver in the first round.
Right. But every single time, are we going to continue to go down this path where we're just giving up these picks and moving back and getting more picks and not selecting the guys where we need that are there?
What is like Sonny Styles? So we have Williams from the Jets. We have a stud already at middle linebacker. We don't play a 5-man front. So Sonny Styles is going to be off ball most of the time, I would think. Maybe they'll give him some packages to just straight up rush the passer.
Mm-hmm.
He's great, and it would be awesome, but you don't need that right now. And you honestly probably won't need that for a couple of years. I mean, you have a young linebacking core that's really good. You have a really good defensive front. I think that defense can wait a year or two to get a pick in the first round.
Yeah. Unless you get these 3 from Dallas in Mesidor, I don't have a problem with Mesidor at 24, depending on what the Browns do with the first 2 picks.
Trade down to 22's worked out well in the past. Yeah, when was Manziel was 22, right? Was Brady 22 too?
Yeah, didn't they come back before? Yeah, well, I think Quinn at 21? Was 21 or 20? Was he 22?
Yeah, we got to get out of this trading back stuff, man. But I do think if Carnell Tate's not there, I'm not reaching for Mekhi Lemon or one of these wide receivers there. So if you can add 2 first-round picks for this year, that's the only way that I would do this. And honestly, I'd be more aggressive to trading up to 5 if I had to get Carnell.
Right, which you said before.
I would. Even if you had to lose 24, I would much rather move up to 5 and get Carnell Tate, solidify that position, and work on the tackle spot. Maybe Blake Miller's in the second round. There's a couple guys that have some upside in the second, third, fourth rounds that you could plug in there while you have these guys on contract that could learn behind them, because this is still a work in progress. Like you need to get that spot figured out. What team in the league that's any good does not have a bona fide number 1 wide receiver?
Right.
None.
Well, and if you go ahead and make that move, obviously you're hoping that it's somebody has a high pick in the second round, right? So then at least you're going to move up in the second round and you're not just picking at 39.
Right. Yeah, even if you had to do a swap there or something like that. So
let's say it's the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, I think in this draft, there's from rounds 1 to 3, there is a lot of talent there. But the best talent at wide receiver is at that top first round, which is Carnell Tate.
Correct.
And I think there's some talent on the offensive line. There's some talent at corner that you can get in the second round. Some safeties that are out there to really fill out the roster. And I wouldn't see. I'm honestly kind of hoping we get a decent running back in this draft too, because I think they need someone else that can be more of a bell cow behind Judkins than Sampson. I like him, but he's not a between the tackles running back.
There's a local podcaster who was talking about big Colts fan was talking about the Colts taking the running back from Indiana, keeping that black from Indiana that was in there.
I like him too.
Yeah, take him, even further down the draft board. I I don't know. Maybe it might be something. The Browns. Who knows what the Browns are going to do? We just hope that it all pans out for him, being big Browns fans.
If Tate's there at 6, I think they take him. But if he's gone, it's gonna be a clusterfuck.
Right.
That's where it's like, okay, I could see trading back because, like I said, I do love Sonny Styles, but man, how many first round draft picks does our defense need at this point?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It's not 1985. You're not going to be winning any Super Bowls with the number 1 overall defense, as we've shown.
Because we don't have a wide receiver, and we still haven't got the quarterback right yet.
Yep, and I think you need to do everything possible to build around that position.
And have it set up, whether it be Shedeur Sanders or whoever the next guy is going to be. At least we're going to have pieces in place to make sure that person can be successful.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. That's one of the best things I ever heard Barry said is like, be a quarterback away.
Right.
Have everything else set up around him, because there's very few Andrew Lucks out there that can make it work with anything.
Yeah. And we definitely don't want, once we do get that guy, we don't want him to have a lacerated kidney and then decide to say, peace out, I'm going to go backpack in Europe. Okay.
Have a weird beard.
Yeah, I know. Have you seen that guy lately? I mean, he just looks kind of like a bag of bones now at this point. I mean, he looks like he could be.
He made his money and got out of there.
No, I can't blame him. That's fine. I mean, especially with all the beating he took.
He was so good, though. That's one.
He was.
What if?
Yeah, he is. He is. All right. Anyway, tune in this coming Thursday, April 23rd, as we do the first round and probably going to do the second round.
Yeah, we have the event. If you have not received invite, is up on our page for that event. That should also have the information on our Discord to join. So if you guys want to join the pod, that'll be pretty simple. We might do that through Discord. If that's not possible, we could probably send out whatever invite. We'll figure that out.
Sure.
Whenever whoever's going to join, but should be fun. We had probably our biggest podcast ever the last time we streamed the draft. So
right. All right, want to get into a little bit of tribe talk. Of course, we missed out on the Cavs because the Cavs went ahead and took game 1 against the baby dinosaurs. So good for them. Want to talk about the Cleveland Indians a little bit. Cleveland Indians are now they are in second place behind the Twins.
Very early.
Okay, very, very early. Last night, though, and I hope this isn't a theme that I'm going to continue to see. I was watching the game last night, 0-0 through the 6th inning, actually 6.5. Bybee came out, did what he was supposed to do. I'm feeling really good about the starters for the Indians right at this point. What I don't feel good about is that bullpen. And this goes back to just what you were talking about with the wide receivers and how you're going to win in the NFL with some, getting that quarterback right, getting the wide receiver that you need, so on and so forth. The bullpen, when and if it comes to postseason.
Got to have it.
Bullpen utmost importance.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Miller was the best acquisition that the Indians made probably in the last 10 years.
So
that World Series.
So last night, playing Baltimore in the series, they also play tonight. I believe it's like at 6:10. Try to go ahead and get this series after we've lost a couple. Last night, after Bybee with another great outing, well, I should say Bybee with a really good outing after getting shelled by Atlanta in that series. I think that was a 13-1. His last outing looked really not Bybee-like. Went ahead and had 6 no earned runs over 6 innings. Pretty
good Baltimore team too.
Yeah, and it is. But bottom half of this, it would be the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, we had that
So-
grand Miami.
Had the grand slam by Schneemann. And with the way that game panned out, I'm like 4-0, man. It hit that grand slam, and I was totally pumped.
Right.
Clear the bases, 4-0. I mean, you got 2 more innings. You got 2 more top half the innings to get through here. And then all of a sudden, though, we start hitting the bullpen. Armstrong comes in first at the top of the 7th inning. 8th, sorry, top of the 8th inning. Walks 2 guys. Also hits Pete Alonso. Loads the bases.
Gets 0 outs.
0 outs. Comes out and then gives up, 3 runs to – I got to pull this up here again. I was looking at this beforehand. But basically Armstrong has an earned run average right now that's over 10.
Yeah, just imagine if Clase wasn't a piece of shit.
Right. If he Clase
Really was.
wasn't.
I mean, he really was like the best closer in baseball.
Yeah. Well, and I think Gaddis too. I mean, he came in, but it was
Gaddis had 3 strikeouts. He got out of there.
Yeah, he did, but it was a little bit too late by then because the Tribe went ahead and gave up 6 runs in the top of the 8th.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're the Tribe, you can't let a 4-run inning go to waste.
Right. Especially on a game that your starting pitcher does what he's supposed to do. And then you go ahead and give up 6 runs in the top of the 8th.
Yeah, like immediately.
So they had 3. Yeah, they had. Look at that game here again. I had it up.
I think it was Jeremiah Jackson cleared him.
Yeah, but I had the stats up on this because I did watch it. I was watching it last night, and. Yeah, so right here it is. Yeah, Jeremiah Jackson, 3-run homer. Yeah, Daniel Schneemann with the grand slam.
He's actually been a pretty good player since they brought him up.
Yeah.
He's hitting .313 this year. He didn't only hit .206 last year. I know defensively he's pretty good, but get any sort of production out of the middle of that infield offensively definitely helped. That was his 2nd homer of the year. Find it.
I'm sorry. I didn't know if you were playing that or
Playing what?
Oh, okay. I didn't have the volume turned down. My bad, guys. No, I thought you were playing the footage from last night.
Oh, no.
No, but I'm sorry. No, you weren't. That would just came up through my headphones.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that. So, yeah.
I can get the...
No. I got it. I was watching. Actually, I thought that was on your end. My bad there. So, yeah. So, we had a hit batsman, loaded the bases for Baltimore. Top of the 8th. And then what? 2 other relievers came in. Here it is. So Armstrong, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, hit batsman. Sabrowski comes in, gets an out, but then 2 more earned runs. And then finally Brogdon comes in, 2 hits, gives up another run. So then we had a grand slam and then give up 6.
Yeah, I think if there's going to be any type of movement, they're not going to make a move for a bat because they never do. They need to figure out the bullpen.
Yeah. Because Gaddis came in and he did what he was supposed to do. Like,
yeah, he's probably
3 Ks.
Really have any trust in at this point. Cade Smith hasn't been that good this year, which he could turn it around, but he doesn't seem like he's more suited for the setup role than the closer role. So yeah, I mean I think they're going to be competitive. They'll probably win this division, but if you really want to compete in October, they're going to have to shore up that bullpen.
Well, and I'm not even saying they're going to win the division at this point. I mean, Minnesota's off to a hot start. Detroit's right on our heels. We had to have that. Big move at the end of last season. To surpass Detroit, and then we end up losing to them in the first round of the playoffs anyway.
I still think 90 wins win this division, though.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, unless Detroit gets red hot, but even they did last year and then absolutely caved.
Right. And then we just came on.
Minnesota's just been like underperforming probably like the last half decade.
Sure.
Them and Detroit's really the only team that has any type of payroll.
Right. Which didn't you tell me that ours right now is sitting at about 40 million?
95, but that's for
Oh, I'm sorry, 95.
Entire organization. That's how payroll works out for the MLB. So I think the average around the league is like 180.
Yeah. So we're half that.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are like 400.
Right.
Like you got to at least be able to pony up like 150 to really have a solid lineup, have some names and bats.
Right.
They just won't do that. It might go up a little bit next year just because they might sign Quan, but he's not really good for average, but he's not middle of the lineup fear hitter.
Right. Chase DeLauder, though, last night came through again.
Sure, he'll be a Yankee within the next 5 years.
Or Quan.
Maybe. But I still think they have control over Quan, honestly, for the next 2 years. I think he's going into arbitration, maybe kind of in a make or break it year. So, which he's got to develop a little bit more. But
you've been following Lindor with the Mets though this season so far.
Garbage,
just absolute trash.
He doesn't even have an RBI yet.
I mean, not only that, but now the Mets fans are getting all worked up about it. There's something going on. You got this guy. This $1 million big name guy, and he's fucking shit up. Also in the outfield, he's not hitting for shit. I mean, I know it's early. Once again, it's early in the season.
He hasn't really been that great since he's gotten there.
No,
his best years were in Cleveland. I think, I know we all wanted to keep him, but what we got out of Jimenez for the years he was here and having Hosey instead of that definitely worked more out in our favor.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It is. I would much rather see the Mets be the better New York team, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't have anything against the Mets. It's not, I don't feel that bad. I don't feel bad, or I don't hate on the Mets, I should say.
Talk about payroll. They've been in luxury tax for 4 or 5 years, nothing to show for it.
Right.
That's sad. Right.
It is. And before any of this Ohio law shit might make it through, do me a favor. I don't know if you can get an over-under season bet down on the Mets, but right now I'm going under.
Yeah, it's probably at 80. I bet it's 87.5. Has to be.
I'd have to look and see what that is, but the Mets just trash right now.
Garbage.
All right. Anyway, keep your eye on the Indians. They go again tonight. I believe it's 6:10.
And Monday night, I think we're going to try to live stream the Cavs game.
Okay. Game 2, right?
Yeah, I got to look in to how to do that without getting taken down, but we'll definitely do some play-by-play or something for that. So
Okay.
should be fun.
All right.
7 o'clock.
All right. So we're planning on doing that live stream with the Cavs, like Ryan said. But even more importantly than that is the NFL draft and our live stream that's going to be kicking off this coming Thursday, April 23rd. Probably going to go live about, 6:30, like we were saying. Get over on the Discord. You want to go ahead and join us? Hey, it's a freebie. Get in there. Tell us your thoughts. We'll be streaming on probably go on TikTok, YouTube.
Bring a mock if you have it.
Yeah, love it. Get some good mocks in there. Get some good discussion going. I love it.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to bring up?
No, I think we covered it all.
All right. Sounds good. Any idea if Rossini might get a job taking over Mary Kay?
Monken might like that.
We've got to get a sponsorship with Blue Chew. Hey, somebody get a hold of Diana Rossini.
Right. We'll try to get her on.
Yeah.
Baby.
All right. With that being said, thanks everybody for tuning in. Go ahead and try to get this back out on Spotify too and Apple Podcasts. You guys go ahead and listen to this.
Yeah, it'll be uploaded sometime.
All right. Sounds good. All right. With that being said, Raw Doggers out.
Where's that?